Hello, everyone. It's Deborah Hamilton. I'm so glad everyone is here for the first evening map plan so people could be accommodated not at lunchtime on Wednesday, but at dinner time on Wednesday. And for those in California, almost at the end of your day. So I'm so grateful that all of you are here. It's so fun. I'm going to do most of the talking tonight because I'm looking forward to having some new people arrive. And when they do, we're going to check in. But first of all, I'd like to congratulate myself because, hi, Daniel, how are you? We just started. So glad you're here. I'm going to bring everybody up to date first, and then I'm going to unmute everyone so we can get to meet everyone. Um, I'm going to congratulate myself. The last thing I was saying is because this is the 20th week that I've held these community calls for people um, wondering what to do if something happens to them with respect to COVID. At the beginning, we all didn't know a lot of what was going on, but we did know, I'm here in New York, that we couldn't leave our state. We really couldn't even leave our neighborhoods. I'm close to New Rochelle, so it was very fearful for all of us to be near a hotbed of COVID. So we didn't do a lot. But then I realized, wait a minute, I walk my dogs, and there are several people walking their dogs every day. And if my MAP program is true to form, which it has been since I built it in 2013, I can figure out, hey, Sally, how are you? I can figure out how to make sure that everyone is taken care of and their pets are taken care of if something happens to them. So I told everyone starting 20 weeks ago, believe it or not, that in fact, if you put cards in the mailboxes of your neighbors with pets offering to care for their dogs if something happens to them, you will be helped tenfold because they all came to my hi, Sally, how are you? I'm going to give an overview and with all the new people that are here. um, it, you will be helped tenfold because your neighbors are going to be, holy crap, I didn't realize that I needed to think about that. First of all, I didn't know I had to think about that, but really, with the way people were getting ill with COVID and all the newspapers here in New York and around the country letting people know that animal care and control were going in to take pets out of people's homes who were sick or who had passed away, this is something you really had to think about. So we all decided we'd walk around and, hey, Joanne, how are you? Good to see you. I'm giving a little bit of an overview and then we'll be starting and introducing ourselves and meeting everyone. So I was saying that this is the 20th week of the MAP plan, COVID style. I started it because I realized there were many things that COVID had changed about the MAP plan I created in 2013. And one of them was that you couldn't have someone come from out of state to care for your dogs because, hello, they couldn't come to New York. Nobody could come to New York. First of all, in the beginning, no one wanted to come to New York, and now no one can come to New York. So it was really something to be wary of. But I realized that looking at my program, being able to find people in my neck of the woods to care for my dogs, at least temporarily until someone long term who I've appointed can take care of my pets, that was really important. So at the beginning, I said, well, everyone who's been on the call at noontime knows they put cards in their neighbors' mailboxes who have pets and say, listen, if something happens to you, I'm happy to watch your pets in your home. And the peace of mind that gave to my neighbors, I'm in a new neighborhood now, I don't know very many people. Everyone came to my house and said, thank you so much. We had no idea what to do if something happened to us. And as I said before, there were so many newspaper articles about pets being taken by animal care and control, and no one wants their pet taken by animal care and control. But if you go in for a COVID test and they check you into the hospital, and you're alone, your pets are going to animal care and control. So this plan and all the things we've talked about make sure that that doesn't happen to your pet. So the map is a very simple thought process. It's navigating the journey your pet takes when you can't care for it. So the M stands for making a plan. And most of you have a plan in your head of what's going to happen. And you've probably talked to your family, your friends, whatever. But if it's not in writing, it's likely not to happen. So I always say, if you make a plan, write it down. It's really important to write it down. And then when you're writing it down, consider addressing the needs of all your pets, because all of them are different. This one eats this food. This one can't go with this one. This one should go with this one. This one's great at the vet. This one isn't great at the vet. This one, if you open the door, she's gone like a shot. This one will never leave your side. Don't worry. These are the things people need to know, and maybe your family knows it, which is great. However, if you're sick, I had a friend of mine, Yvonne DeVita, call back after she had said, no, I don't need a MAP plan. She called back and she gave me the best reason for making a MAP plan that includes your family and others. Because if you're the one who's sick, or you have a family member who's sick, being able to find people to care for your pets that are not family members is so awesome. Your family's going to jump up and down and do the happy dance because they can go to the hospital and be with you. Or you'll do the happy dance because you can go to the hospital and be with them. And we never think of that. We always say, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to go great. And not necessarily. And then once you address the needs of your pet, then you have to appoint those caregivers. So for me, I have Irish setters, and a number of the people on this call have Irish setters. And my family is absolutely in line to take care of my dogs. Unfortunately, my sons, one has a cat and lives in a very small apartment in LA, and the other one lives in a no-pet building. So they can't take my dogs. They can't. It's just, hi, Connie. They just can't take my dogs. And so it is incredible to understand the magnitude of, well, I know my sons want my dogs, and I know my sons will do their best to figure out how to take my dogs. But in the immediate future, I have people who are going to step up, take the dogs right away. And then when my sons are able to take the dogs, if ever, they can. But that's all in writing. So you have make a plan, address the needs of your pet, appoint caregivers that actually can take the dogs, and check in with them every year. And then the last letter, I know that Sally and Connie know what the last letter is, but I'm going to spill the beans and tell you, it's publish your plan. So you have to publish your plan with your veterinarian, with your attorney, with each of the caregivers, and with the person who's going to carry out the plan, because it's so important that people know what your plan is. So that's in a nutshell. And if you'd like to know more, you can go to Hamilton Law Mediation /MAP dash blueprint, or you can just email me at Hamilton Law and Mediation. You can go and do a contact page, because I'm trying to help everyone know how to make a plan. So we're 8 minutes in. I want to make sure that everyone, here's my husband making dinner in the background, because this is new and interesting. He never was doing that before, but now he is. I mean, he had to hand me papers too, because it is what it is. We're all living in a new normal. So I'm going to unmute everybody now and then chat with you about why you're here and what kind of animals you have and where you live. A few of us are regulars, because I've been blessed to have regular people come every single Wednesday, because there's always something new that they've discovered or that I've discovered, and we share it. It's really a great crew. But now I'm going to unmute everyone, and I'm going to start with Sally. Sally, how's everything going? Well, I unmuted everybody, but everybody's still muted, so I don't know how that works. You might have to unmute yourself, Sally.
Done.
Oh, there you are, Connie. You go first while Sally's trying to figure it out. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I am late. I just got my 17-month-old boy tomorrow off the grooming table, giving him his haircut. I gave him his bath yesterday. It is broiling hot here in Metro LA. Even by the ocean, we're over 90 degrees. Horrible humidity. The AC has been going since 8 a.m. this morning, if you can believe it.
Yep.
And I mean, it's like East Coast weather. We have 367 wildfires in the state of California as I speak. That just came out at 2 o'clock from CAL FIRE. And Governor Newsom has declared a state of emergency, needless to say. So having a disaster plan for your pets, I have two. I had, just for Daniel's and Joanne's edification, I am a soft-coated Wheaton Terrier breeder, owner, exhibitor, again in the Metro LA area. I have 3 generations of Wheatons. direct line, the grandma who's 10, the mom who's 6, and the 17-month-old grandson. The 2 older girls are retired grand champions. The oldest is a therapy dog. The mom is still working on performance titles at the other end of her name. And we just qualified for the first 2 virtual legs of the little one's rally novice. Still have 1 leg to go to video. But he has points toward his confirmation championship, but of course we've been shut down since really the beginning of March. The Beverly Hills Dog Show was the last show that we did. So that's who we are. But again, the whole wildfire situation is, front and center.
Unbelievable.
Why you gotta have a plan.
If you don't have a plan that's going to help you escape, and you have to use it before. I know you've heard it, Connie, but I did a big program up in Northern California where there were wildfires, lots of horse people, and sat with a number of horse people and built them a plan where they could take all of their neighbors' horses, because some of them work from home. This was way before COVID. And if someone wasn't home, they had not thought about a way to plan to get everyone's horses off the mountain in the cul-de-sac. They all rode together. They all knew each other's horses. And so it turned out that it was a group effort, and we worked out different plans for them to take care. I mean, there were people with Priuses with horse trailer hitches on them. Now, Priuses are not made to pull horse trailers, but in a fire, a Prius can pull a horse trailer. And you know what? You get them to the bottom of the hill, you're good. And then you can switch it to somebody else. But it really is important to have these contingency plans. So I'm glad. I think you're far from the fire. My son is also far from the fire. He sent me, a picture in the LA Times. But I still worry about everyone, because you don't think it's going to blow your way, and then all of a sudden it does.
Well, let me tell you, yes, we are away from these current fires because they're up in the foothills north of LA and going out to San Bernardino. But I live in Rancho Palos Verdes by the ocean, by Long Beach. We are the largest incorporated municipality in the state of California that is considered a high fire danger area, the entire Palos Verdes Peninsula. It's very horsey, zoned for horses, lots of show dogs, lots of every kind of dogs and cats and you name it. And so this is a heavily domestic animal populated area. And we just all start watching the skies when the June goes away.
And happy to help anybody figure out making a plan for the group of horses, because it drives me nuts. Dog people are really on the cutting edge of making a plan, because it's easy to put them in your car or your home and take them. Horse people, we saw them on the beach because they had not thought ahead and they had to go on the beach. So I wanted to pull my hair out of my head, as you know, Connie, because I like get crazy. And it's so easy to figure out these escape routes, but you actually have to do 4 things. You have to make the plan, you have to address the needs of the pets, and you have to find the caregivers, and you got to publish it so that people can get the animals out.
Right. Right. Well, in fact, they're they're evacuating the city of Vacaville, which is just west of, it's between Sacramento and the Bay Area on I-80. And I have 2 married couple, good friends who are Wheaton breeders in Vacaville. One of them posted a picture on Facebook. She took the picture. Her husband was in their RV with their 2 Wheatons getting out. And I asked how the wife of the other couple, how they were doing. Right. I haven't heard from them.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from them. And the husband is an AKC judge.
We're going to ask Sally in a minute, but it's really interesting. Amory Kubaz put up a list from someone who posted today about what to do in case of an emergency. And I said, this is not the time to be posting a list of what to do. I mean, it's great, and don't get me wrong, but this should be something you have at your fingertips, because we have hurricanes here on the East Coast where we lose power. You guys have fires, and we have floods. So it really is something that you need to consider it. It may never happen, but you really need to have that plan in place. So let me go to Sally for a minute. Sally, how's everything with you? I know you've been taking good care of Athena.
Yes, Athena had a medicinal bath, and I took all the stickers and burrs out of her and the snarls. I've had a nephew in quarantine for 2 weeks in the photo studio. And it was interesting because I walked in, and of course she's lounging on her back, and as you know, the diva, and I get a text, could you please go into our home? You don't know us. We have 2 greyhounds. We have a COVID problem in New Jersey, and we can't come home tonight. Could you take our greyhounds out? And it's like, wow. I mean, I always address these people on a dog walk. I, say
Everybody
hi.
thinks I'm crazy, and I'm not. I'm not crazy. I'm not Chicken Little. The sky is falling.
No.
This shit is real.
Yeah, and they realize I have a cat allergy and I can't take care of the cats. And they said, we know you can't take care of the cats, but we can't come back from New Jersey to Connecticut tonight. Could you please just take our dogs out? And this is what they eat. And this one has Lyme disease and will limp when he walks. And here they are in a text message trying to tell me everything. And I'm like, well, this is why you need a MAP plan.
That's right. This is why you should be with Deborah Wednesday night. But maybe that was Mr. Robeson. Who knows? He left, and I'm sorry, but hopefully he'll get the recording and we'll be able to connect on another day. So I'm going to go to Joanne. Joanne, thank you so much for coming. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Very good. It's been a hot summer so far.
Oh my God. We've had 35 days over 90.
It's been ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
And Sally, Joanne is also an Irish setter person, and she's also in Connecticut.
Oh, wonderful.
That's correct.
Where are you?
Right, Joanne?
Where are you, Sally?
We're in the very northern section of New Milford.
Oh, okay. I'm in the Simsbury area.
Well, it's drivable.
Yeah, it is.
I'll be there.
It's in the same state. It's in the same state. That's what that's what when I did the MAP plan, Joanne, before, I never thought that, well, if you had somebody in New Jersey or Connecticut who was going to come and get your dogs, that would be a problem. Who would have thought? But at the beginning of COVID, it was a huge problem. It was really difficult because you could not do that cross border because New York was, the epicenter.
Exactly.
We were not allowed. Now, of course, we're turning the tables and we're saying, you can't come into New York. My husband and I, as some of you know, are looking for houses, and we can't look for houses where we wanted to because North Carolina is on the list of,
Right.
frozen zones. So we can't go. So we look on Zillow and hope for the best. So today, the thing Anne Marie posted was a Laura Rathe, who you might know, Rathe. She might be an Irish setter person. I'm not quite sure. But she was telling people what to grab, your photos, take photos of your interiors so you can show the insurance company. Well, I have to say that Jim and I did that at the old house. We haven't done it here yet. We did it at the old house because our insurance people said you really need to have a picture of what's in your house, especially if you live in a fire-prone area. Take pictures of everything so that when you say I lost, a Sub-Zero refrigerator, if it's dust and you can't find the receipt, which of course that's dust too, if you have the pictures on your phone, thank God, you're going to be all right. But it was really interesting because packet bag of meds and dog food and cat food and essentials, and you have to be able, and I thought it was funny because they said, make sure you have a hotel that's, far enough away, because they're going to fill up. Well, absolutely. And all of these things are things we don't think about because it's not near us. Joanne, let me ask you, when the last storm went by that I lost power for a week, did you lose power?
8 hours.
Oh, you were lucky. I lost.
You better believe it. So everyone moved into my house.
Yeah. And you have to, because first of all, we're really not amenable to the 90 degrees humidity. We really aren't, because it was 90 degrees with like 100 degrees in humidity. So it was terrible. And we were out for a week and it just was untenable. I mean, it was really difficult. And my older girl, Joanne, your kids are young or old?
I don't have any children.
No, I meant your dogs.
5.
On this thing, it's usually the dogs I'm talking about. So they're 5. So, Junie was 3 and he didn't have as much trouble, although he panted a great deal and he couldn't, after we took our short walk, he had a long time recurring. And I actually got those, maybe all of you have seen it. It's the expandable cold necklace that they have, where they have those beads that when you put it in water, they expand and get cold. They were a lifesaver for Roxy, who's 10. They were a lifesaver because when she came back in, I put it around her neck and it really cooled her down quickly. I highly recommend them. I think they're called Cool Collars. Brilliant name, right? Because they are cool collars. So they worked really, really well, but it was tough. And we actually were able to get our hands on a generator and were able to not turn on the air conditioning, but at least have some fans. So we're only out for 8 hours. We all lived through Superstorm Sandy. And if you did, you realize that the power could be out for a really long time.
Well, fortunately, I have solar power that's been installed in the house for at least 10 years. But before my husband had his stroke in the fall of 2017, we put in a generator that hooked a big box, huge, outside that hooks into
propane,
the solar system. And actually, we feed to the grid. With all this horrible heat, we've been getting notices every day from Southern California Edison, all of us who are
thank you
customers, saying if you have solar power, please conserve because you're giving back to the grid.
Yeah.
Go ahead and conserve. Don't just use your power because you think you've got solar and you're okay.
Yeah, but you're helping the entire grid.
Exactly. And a lot of people do have solar in California. If our power goes out, I've got a heat intolerant breed and I got 3 of them and I got a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it's really scary. So you have to always be aware of what your dogs need. And it was interesting. Last week we talked about the Red Rover Trust and Estate person who talked, Peggy Hoyt, and she was very informative, very scary for me. And I do this all the time because it never really pointed out the plan you need to make. And it was funny because when I gave a program to a bunch of trust and estate attorneys, they only wanted to know how to make the pet trust. And I said to them, everyone has heard this story, so I'll tell it to you, Joanne. I asked them first if they had pets, and all of them raised their hands. And then I said, how many of you have put a plan for your pet in your will? And half of them raised their hands. And then I said, how many of you have made a pet trust? And none of them raised their hands. And I said, well, how do you expect to sell a pet trust to a client if you don't have one yourself? How does that work? And they go, wow, we didn't even think of it that way. So I went through the steps of the MAP plan that they need to do to be able to have their clients understand why a pet trust outside their will, independently standing, is so important. But I've gone to the Red Rover because now it's good that they're getting out there and having people be sponsored to talk about it, but they talk about the nuts and bolts and not the emotion. And for all of us, it's the emotion. It's nuts and bolts, but it's the emotion. I want my dogs to go here. I want my dogs to do this. I'd love this to happen. If I get sick, this is what I'd like to happen. So I'm giving talks, all the time to different breed clubs and to different veterinarian groups and to different, believe it or not, reproductive veterinarians to counsel their owners of the sperm that they have frozen, what they should do. Because Joanne, you know that there are people in our breed, and I know Connie has spoken that there's people in her breed who pass away leaving their sperm to be defrosted and thrown away.
Right.
And we're not breeding enough to lose that sperm. And most people, when they make their will, don't even remember they have it. I mean, it's not something your trust and estate attorney is going to ask you, do you have sperm on ice? I mean, just not a flow of conversation. I'm just saying. Right, Joanne? I mean, you're not going to, nobody but us is ever going to ask.
Right. That would be the last question I did.
Yeah, that's the last question the trust and estate. When I work with trust and estate attorneys, because a lot of my clients then hire trust and estate attorneys to do the will and things in their states, and they go, what are you talking about? And And I said, well, you have to understand that we're preservationist breeders. There's sperm that is so important to us that we really need to make sure that it stays safe. And so we have to find a way to move it forward, to pay it forward, to make sure that the people who use it wisely, use it well. We're not going to be here maybe, or, we've talked about this before. We all have friends who have had strokes. I mean, Connie's husband had a stroke. We all have friends who have suffered from, dementia or Alzheimer's. And so they don't even know they have sperm anymore, but they didn't make a plan for it before they were incapable of making a plan for it. So it's not self-serving because, I think it's something that the breed club should really put a program on about, here's your, frozen progeny, your Pupsicles. I think there is a reproductive place that's Popsicles. Oh no, Straws to Paws. I think that's a cute name. But if you don't do something and your family isn't going to continue your legacy with the breed, it's defrosted and there's no direction. I mean, some of the more tenuous breeds who have a really small gene pool. I mean, the Irish Setters and the Wheaten Terriers are getting small, but there are some over in Ireland that we could probably work with. But some like the wire-coated pointing Griffon, I think they have a gene pool of 12. And so they wanted
the Sealingham Terrier is now considered, the Kennel Club of the UK considers them a rare breed. And it's getting to that point in the AKC.
Yeah. So what the AKC is looking at, and what a lot of the clubs are looking at, is asking the AKC to do a foundation that's overseen by maybe some of the members of a national club, because the national clubs don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, but having some members of the national club be given the opportunity to help people make a plan. I know I'm not talking out of school, and I've only got a few more minutes left, but I will say that there are some people who would rather destroy the sperm than let Deborah Hamilton have it, right? Because they just don't like the person. And we really have to figure out whether or not that's the best outcome, because if we're preservationist breeders breeding purpose-bred dogs, then the dogs that went before, we know they're health tested because they all have their certificates. We know they've produced beautifully. The sperm may or may not work. We might put some parameters around the age of the bitch you use it on. That would be fine. But to be able to use it so it doesn't go down the drain is going to become a huge piece. And that, of course, is part of the MAP plan. It's part of making that plan, both for the dogs that are alive and for the dogs that are to come if you have a big dog that's been collected. So I want to thank you.
My boy Casey is a case in point, Deb. 17 months old tomorrow. His father is on our National Breed Club Register of Merit. He produced about 30 champions in his time. Beautiful boy, lovely boy, lived to be 15 and a half. But he was an angel by 2.5 years when I did the breeding on my girl Patsy. And I had to run out to Woodland Hills to my best friend's repro vet and pick up, 2 great big huge canisters to throw in the back of my SUV and cart it over to my repro vet in Pasadena.
Yep.
So, this is what we do. But my best friend is now 75 years old.
Yeah. And so, if she has that frozen, she needs to really make a plan. Yeah. If she has 1 or 2 breedings, oh, nobody's going to want it. Don't ever think that, because, people, I know Joanne will bear this out for me. People don't even know what people have. People don't know what's out there. Right, Joanne? I mean, we don't even know.
I agree with that.
What?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. People don't know what's out there. I didn't know, oh my God, I would have bred to, Kildavin if I knew that he had been frozen, but I didn't. And so we really need to be more up and coming. It's not to try to take away your breeding program. Rather, it's to not limit us. I mean, in the old days, Joanne, right? In the old days, there were a lot of male dogs to choose from. And now there aren't so many male dogs to choose from because there aren't a lot of young people coming up getting into the whole sport. And I know, Connie, you've said the same thing. And Sally, you've seen it. There are fewer and fewer dogs being retired to be couch potatoes with you because fewer and fewer people are breeding. I mean, Carolyn Moritz is looking for a male dog to live her life with, and we can't find her one.
Well, and with genetic diseases, and thank God we have DNA testing now to eradicate them, and we're doing a very good job in our breed. I'm happy to say, but we have two potentially fatal genetic diseases in our breed, both protein losing, enteropathy, which hits the gut, and nephropathy, which hits the kidneys. And we have, not that many clear males.
Yeah.
Fortunately, my boy is one. So if you've got sperm for a clear male, I mean, you want to preserve that.
Yeah, you do. And you should start preserving that now. He's 17 months old.
Right, exactly. He's living with his mother and grandmother, so he doesn't get enough sexual stimulation.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. It's interesting you said that because, all of the breeds, I'm sure Wheaten Terriers are the same, spend so much money with the AKC Canine Health Foundation supporting studies that are being done to help our breeds, but all breeds, because once it finds it for my breed, it's going to be applicable to your breed. And so this is just one more piece of that puzzle of finding out what it is that, what health tests were done on this dog, maybe in the 60s or 70s, if there's any of that sperm left, they weren't done. But as of the 2000s, most people, because of the Irish Setter Club American National, I'm sure the Wheaten Terrier have a lot of health testing at National.
We have a whole protocol.
Whole protocol, yeah, and they do it at National, so it's easy to do. Well, it's running up to 7:31, and I know this is late for us, Sally and Joanne, early for you, Connie, but I'm so glad I did this, and I'm going to try to do a few more in the evenings. If anybody can make it in the evening and wants to hear more about why it is you want to make a plan, please have them come. We chat like this. It was so, I don't know, Sally and Connie, it was really so lifting for us to be together every Wednesday while we were trying to figure out what was happening. And so I'm going to keep doing it until, somebody tells me no more, Deborah. If you want more information about the MAP plan, I'm holding a MAP class. I did one in September and I'm going to do another one in October. It's 2 days for 2 hours, MAAP, very simple. And if you go to Hamilton Law Mediation /MAP-blueprint, you'll find out how you can do it yourself as well. So until next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, this is Deborah Hamilton, and thank you guys for coming. I'm so grateful. Joanne, thanks for being here with us. Sally, Connie.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, too. Good luck, Connie.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Nice
and stay safe.
I got to go see my senator get nominated for Vice President of the United States of America.
Yay! Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Deb.
Bye, Joanne. Bye, Sally. Bye, Rose.